is kind of interesting because I don't really understand what these have in common.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hey class.
Fancy seeing you here.
What are you doing in the kitchen? Maybe you can help us out with our predicament that we're in.
We're trying to figure out what these have in common.
These fine products. Maybe you can help us out. Holly, you might be able to help us out. Do you have any ideas?
Wrong.
Sorry, wrong. Bronston, what about you? Wrong again.
Close.
Rudy, what about you? What do you think?
Right.
Exactly. Preservatives. So let's get...
We're going to refer to the Godfather, McGee.
McGee, right? And McGee had a lot of thoughts about preservation. We're going to talk about a few with you right now.
The first thing we're going to talk about is killing the living tissue. That will involve enzymes.
Exactly. And number two, the second thing that preservatives usually have in common is they create an inhospitable environment for microbes. How exciting. Isn't that neat?
This is great.
And we are going to talk about 4 methods that we can apply to use preservatives. What are they, class?
Dehydration, canning, pickling, acidifying.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Let's get started on dehydration.
Oh yeah. Hello.
Hey, class.
So first we're going to talk about dehydrating fruits. So we're going to dehydrate a banana. So first we want to cut the banana into small pieces. And then when we're done, we're going to put the banana in lemon juice. This is 1 part lemon juice, 1 part water, and let it sit for 10 minutes.
Lemon juice?
Yes! Let's talk to the Godfather about this. McGee. Lemon juice helps prevent oxidation and enzymatic browning. So this is acetic acid, which is what's in lemon juice, and this is going to help our bananas not brown.
Sweet. It looks like there's a question out there. Who is that? Is that...
Karen?
It's me, Karen! What's boiling point?
That's a good thing you ask. Brittany might want to tell us a little bit about the dehydration. We'll talk about boiling point in a sec.
Okay, dehydration. Drying preserves foods by reducing the tissue's water content. It goes from around 90% to between 5 and 35%. In this range, very little can grow on the bananas. Prehistorically, they did this by using sun, fire, and hot sand.
Sweet. So going back to your question, boiling point is when the vapor pressure, big word, is equal to the atmospheric pressure. In this case, we actually never get to the boiling point during this dehydration process, so we have to let the process run overnight. So if you come over here, class.
So we're going to put it in the dehydrator. Fruits and vegetables are dried at low temperatures from around 130 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and this will minimize the loss of flavor and color. So we want to spread our bananas out evenly and make sure they're not touching each other.
Sweet. And we just need to let this run overnight. So
all right,
we
good
might
night,
take a
Scott.
quick break.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Nice to see you again. So
Let's see if our bananas turned out.
we let this run overnight. Let's see what happens.
Whoa.
Awesome. Take a look at that, class.
Take a bite. See if they're perfect. Very crunchy.
Yum. Very crunchy. Good job. Let's move on to the next process of canning.
Oh, hello, class.
What's up, guys?
Now we're going to talk about canning. Canning was invented by Nicholas Appert around 1810, and this was important because it preserves the texture and flavor of the food.
So when we mean like texture and flavor, as you look back on dehydrating, what we saw with the banana is that we made it very brittle, right? So that texture had totally changed, as well as flavor. We'll talk about this in a minute, but when we talk about fermentation, it's going to make it more acidic and it's going to change the flavor during pickling. So the way that canning is really going to help us out is it's going to maintain, as Brittany said, the flavor as well as that texture. So Appert came along and said that this is kind of revolutionizing the way that we can preserve foods. Wait, what's that, class?
Oh, we have a question from Josh. Josh wants to know how canning affects the enzymes of plants and bacteria.
Sweet, that's a great question, Josh. So what we're going to do is we're going to worry about the heating up process. So we're going to heat up the can, right? So that's going to denature some proteins as well as kill the bacteria. Some of the problems that we might face, though, is with the superbacteria. And we're going to learn about him from McGee. So if we consult with McGee one more time. right? McGee has shown us that the arch nemesis to canning is this superbacteria, and bear with me, Clostridium bot. Okay, so this superbacteria is very unique because it can live off of an oxygen-free zone, and if it does, it will produce a neurotoxin. Okay, so this neurotoxin, as it sounds, will kill you because it's toxic to the neurons. So let's kind of look at the apparatus of canning as we approach this. So if we look at this is an older method to can. And this actually comes from the 70s, this nice canning apparatus. But how it works is you put water in the bottom, you put it on the stove and heat it up. As you heat it up, steam will come up through and it will seal the can as well as heat up the bacteria and denature our proteins that we're interested in. So if we remove the top, get ready for the steam, we have a nice canned pears. Okay, so these were done about yesterday, and by yesterday, 2 years ago, and what we can notice is that they still have that same structure as well as the same texture that a normal pear might have. And as you look in here, this apparatus, there's holes here for the steam to come up and cook it. And you might be wondering, how do we know if the bacteria is in there, right? That super bacteria that we talked about. One way to tell is by
the can. So see how the lid is pushed in. If the lid is pushed out, then you don't even want to eat the whatever that you have canned. You just want to throw it away.
Yeah, because that bacteria has produced this excess gas of that neurotoxin, which is putting a positive pressure on it. Sweet. We're going to move on to fermentation and pickling.
Oh, hi class.
Welcome back.
Now we're going to talk about fermentation and pickling. Fermentation has advantages because it requires no cooking. Pickles are preserved in brine or strong acid solution, and this generates a preservative acids. Preserving fruits and vegetables is based on the fact that there are microbes. You consume the vegetable sugars and produce a variety of antimicrobial substances.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat that in this process, you're relying on other microbes to act as defense mechanisms against the bad microbes. It's kind of counterintuitive, I felt like, when I first saw this, but it's really actually a pretty cool process that we are growing an innate or inert microbe, so a microbe that won't harm us, so that it will produce antimicrobial properties to kill the rest of the microbes. So it's pretty sweet how it would work.
So this includes lactic acid, carbon dioxide, and alcohol.
So we have our carbon dioxide here and
alcohol here.
here, and we don't have lactic acid on here right now. We have brine,
which is what we're going to make.
Yes.
Okay. So this is good because it preserves our vegetables and the material of the pickles.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. All right. But today we're going to do unfermented, and we're going to show you our recipe on how to make pickles. So if you want to chop up our cucumber.
So how you really want to chop cucumber is you want to hold the knife like this by pinching the blade. This will give stability as you cut. So I like to just cut off the ends. Just makes it a little bit easier. And we're not going to peel these cucumbers. You can if you'd like, but I think the flavor of the peel is great. So you can just cut these into eighths, I should say. And you can notice my technique is very important. And it's very beautiful. So take some tips from me if you really want to learn how to use a knife. And voila, isn't that neat? So we've already chopped up a couple. So this is just the process of getting our cucumbers ready. But we need to make our brine before we can do so.
Yeah, so the direct addition of the vinegar that we're going to use, that's going to inhibit the growth of the microbes. So in order to do this, we're going to do a 1/3 cup sea salt. Okay, 4 cups water.
Now come look at this. You see as we pour it in there, the sea salt or the brine starts to dissolve, but you notice it's not all dissolving yet. So we need to heat this up to some degree.
And then we're going to do apple cider vinegar, and we're going to do a 4th cup of that.
And you can use really any vinegar you want. It's just going to change the taste, so we kind of wanted ours to be a little bit more appley. So what we're going to do, and what we have done, is you're going to take this, you're going to walk it over to the stove, and you're going to heat it up.
And then once it starts boiling, you want to let it simmer for 5 minutes.
Okay, so we've already done this, and if you want to come over here, you can see the finished product.
Okay, so then we're going to set up our cucumbers in the bowl.
Hopefully we have enough. And what you want to do is you want to fill this bowl, and it doesn't look like we have enough right now. But...
Okay. We want them in close proximity to each other, and then we want to pour. So we let this cool. You don't want it cold. You just want it not boiling or simmering anymore.
So what you're going to do is you're just going to very carefully fill it to the brim. And if they're all packed in there tight like they should be, they won't move around, but we kind of blew it on this match. So you can see those like that.
So we're going to let this sit now for a couple of days and let our pickles
Pickle.
preserve and flavor.
We're going to let these cucumbers pickle. And as you can see, we have our homemade batch,
pickles.
or homemade pickles.
These ones are ready to try. How are they?
Delicious.
All right, next we're going to be making salsa. We're back!
Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going to end our discussion on preservatives today with salsa. So in this case, we're going to use tomatoes, onions, and guacamole. So these are all the vegetables that we're trying to preserve. And to do so, we're going to use acid, as we noted earlier in the presentation. The acid is going to be play an important role by killing bacteria and denaturing the proteins of our solution. So this is a really neat way to do it. You can also use salt, which is another method to preserve these things. And using salt, what it actually does is it creates this osmotic pressure. So you create a solution that is high in salt. You put bacteria in it. Since the concentration of the solution is so high in salt, all of the water and the bacteria, like this, will rush out, killing the bacteria. Yay! And when it kills the bacteria, you have a preserved product. So we're going to start out using tomatoes. So we're going to start out with the large tomato, and we are going to cut this, and by cut, we're going to dice this. And I know you are all looking at these knife cutting skills again, and you're wondering, how do I learn this? And I'm going to attribute all of my success in cutting fruit and vegetables to our chef, Brian. So thank you for teaching us how to dice. Okay, so we have our large tomato, which we'll add to the other large tomato.
Okay, now for my favorite part, I just discovered these. This will help. Our cilantro. Look how perfectly this cuts them into little pieces. How much do we want?
We just want, that's about good. It's just,
perfect.
Yeah, that will work. It's about 1/8 of a cup. In our case, it's just kind of to taste. So we're gonna add in everything else now. So we have our corn, which is a small bag of frozen corn that you've allowed to thaw.
Okay, now our black beans.
So a can of 1 black beans, or 1 can of black beans.
Okay, what's next? Our onion?
Our onion, so a half diced onion.
We also did half an avocado.
And we'll add a little bit, probably about this much, like this, of cilantro. And that's a really good measurement in the kitchen, this much.
Look how perfectly those scissors got the cilantro.
Okay, so now we talked about acids. And the acid that we're going to focus on, we have 2. We're going to use a citric acid, which we referred to in the earlier section when we were talking about lime juice, or lemon juice, as acetic acid, but what we really meant was citric acid, so sorry for our mistake.
Whoops.
Woo, okay. As well as acetic acid, which we noted earlier as citric acid. Or we didn't, but this is our acetic acid. Sweet. So what we need to do is we need to squeeze an orange real quick, or a lemon.
We like to fresh squeeze our lemons.
Yeah, we like to fresh squeeze our lemons. So we have this.
Well, that's the top of your lemon. Oh, that's hard.
And what we want,
strong.
yeah,
Look at those muscles.
is 1 tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemons. And we got these lemons all the way from California. We drove down there and got them, picked them up. So these are fresh, right off the market. Okay, boom, pour it in. So there's our citric acid.
What are we going to put in next?
We're going to put in our acetic acid, or our vinegar.
Perfect.
And then
All right.
we need to stir. And the technique here is really just round the back and kind of just fold it all in. And what you're going to do is you're going to really incorporate a lot of air, and you're going to get those enzymes working really nicely.
This is a Chef Scott technique.
Yeah, and all you need is chips to enjoy. Unfortunately, we don't have any chips, so we are just going to enjoy the look of it. And it looks very pretty, doesn't it?
It's that fresh squeezed lemon.
That fresh squeezed lemon. Sweet. And that is our salsa.
We'll be right back to do a recap. All right, so now we're going to do a recap on all the things we've made today.
Sweet. So just in general, we've done preservatives. So everything that we've created was a type of preservative. The first being these beautiful bananas that we dehydrated, removing the water.
These will last much longer than normal bananas, so we can enjoy them for a long time.
Exactly. Next, we did a canning of peaches. These are pears. And, this kicked out all the bacteria, killing it with the heat, and we sealed it in so that no bacteria could get there.
Then we talked about fermentation, and we made pickles.
And finally, our favorite, we made some fresh homemade black bean salsa using an acid as the preservative. We would like to give a special thanks to our viewers
Godfather.
and our godfather.
And
not
we
ours,
got
but
all
the
of our
godfather.
information from his book.
Yes, Harold McGee. And we just would really like to thank you for coming and enjoying this time. So now please get out of the kitchen.
Goodbye.
We gotta clean up.
Thank you.
We'll see you later. Thanks for coming.
Come over again sometime.
All right, bye. See, go.
We're back.
Hey everyone, we're back. And I know that we are ready to make salsa, and I know it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish our discussion on